All right, good evening, everyone. I have 6:30. Before we, once we get everyone where we need them, one thing I would like to do, we're going to go ahead and open up our budget work session for Monday, March 10th. I would like to go through, I know I will not be able to make the Wednesday work session. And I just want to go through and just, if everyone's going to miss, Councilwoman Tompkins, I know you will miss starting Wednesday.
Right, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday.
Okay. I'll miss Wednesday. Is there anybody else that's going to be missing any work sessions, just as far as we know? Okay. Just want to make sure we're going to have 5 people here. All right. All right, so tonight we will start the series of meetings with the library department. Does that make sense? Library department? That sounded weird, didn't it?
Not technically a department.
The library.
Yeah.
Jennifer, hi. Nice to see you. Congratulations and welcome right into the fire for her. I guess I'm going.
With a budget, that's pretty
Yeah.
For those of you,
Yeah.
for those of you that we're in section 12, page 23 for the library budget, and I'll turn it over. I imagine the town manager might have a couple things to say
Yes.
before we open up for questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pleasure to have Jennifer here with us. She replaces Trish, and her first day was today, and we're throwing her right in the fire with the library budget. But no, actually, it's just for me to present and for Jennifer just to experience the process, so it'll be great for her to see how it goes through, and I'm sure she's probably on overload at the moment in terms of processing everything she has seen today and everyone that she's met, but it's great that she's here to be able to witness the process. So I'll kind of walk you through, and I think the council's general theme of the library is that, like me, it's a great department, and the public library is a great asset for the community and very well run and managed, and I think it's certainly a plus for the community. So I don't know that there's anything out of the ordinary, things that you have seen before, and I'll just kind of walk through that, and between myself, Andy, and Rob, we'll be able to answer any questions. There may be some last-minute changes that Jennifer might be able to talk to or speak to, and we did, through the interview process, talk a lot about the strategic plan and implementing the strategic plan. So you may want to, might have a question or two about that she might be able to speak to. But I also just recently had a couple of ideas that I've got to pass along to her in terms of how we can maximize our opportunity with that space that is coming. And so that's one of those budget items that'll be in there we'll talk about. So without further delay, we can jump into Code 520 for the library, which at the top line in full-time and part-time salaries, we've calculated the 3% in there, but we have some adjustments as well with some of the, obviously, the assistant left and the director left. We've since filled those 2 positions, so we got some shaking out there. And other than that, we're looking at an overall 6.67% increase, or a $53,667 increase as requested at this point. Well, I should say as proposed from my perspective, which is lower than what they had proposed at $882,853. It's down to $858,648. So be happy to walk through the issues there, but they're outside of the top line, which is the 32,000. It's the 16,000 in terms of increase in the electricity line at 510. Those are the 2 major drivers for this in terms of the library budget.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
this transfer in and out, interfund transfer in general fund, does that have to be done before the approval of the budget? The one that's highlighted there? On the opposite page?
On the revenue page.
I don't think it has to happen before. I
Okay.
mean, right, that's just the town's contribution to that
Right.
revenue side of the budget.
Right, that's the town's contribution for Department 840, which obviously covers multiple budgets, so we can either do the individual line items as we do the individual budgets, or you can do the Department 840 at at the end.
Okay.
It's up
All
to
right.
you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments?
There's a lot going on, and obviously with the
Yeah.
plan, and part of what's driving the salary is a halftime position for a full-time library in terms of the teenage position. It's part of the strategic plan
Yep.
and maker spaces as well. So
Okay.
that's what's driving that
So technically, we're adding a half a,
half-year
Person.
position,
Or
yeah,
position,
full-time
I guess.
position, but added half-year. And they
Right.
have other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the board wanted it full-time, but the build-out's not gonna be complete,
Okay.
right away. So during our deliberations, town managers thought, maybe half year. The build-out will be done, maybe, if it is, then you can start looking for a half-year position for, and get it on board full-time the following
Right.
fiscal year.
so fund half of it this
Correct.
next
Yeah.
fiscal year, and then
Correct.
obviously finish it the year after. Okay. And just, I have a quick question regarding the fund balance. I know a number of years ago, we were concerned with how much fund balance we were using from the library fund. And let me throw out an example. So let's say their budget comes in $10,000 less than what we budgeted, and they need $10,000 less in revenue. If they're using their own fund balance and we're making our contribution, would one or the other contribute $10,000 less, or is it kind of, once you do your fourth quarter transfers, it just all kind of works out? Does that make sense?
Yes. So the
Sorry.
the transfer in that the general fund does that, we're the highlighted number that we just referenced,
Yes.
that number will stay static based on the budget that you pass.
Okay.
So where the library fund usually has gains or losses with the endowment income and or gains or losses for the year. They've had very good results the
Yep.
last few years. Obviously, the market's been pretty good. So it, our piece the town's general fund contribution will stay the same.
Okay.
Regardless of how the year turns out. And if, so that'll keep the operational side of the budget, in line.
Yep.
Okay. It's the non-operational side that the endowments sort of,
Fills
feed into and build into where the changes could be. But we keep ours flat, or the town side flat and static.
Okay.
And if operationally something were to be budgeted, i.e. a full year position.
Yep.
That would cause some sort of increase in the town's contribution
Yes.
because it may or may not be able to be made up in the endowment revenues.
Do we know what the library fund balance is at?
Wow, I knew you were going to ask me.
No,
I
I-
did not bring it
It's my-
tonight. I will bring it tomorrow.
No, that's fine.
And,
fine.
well, honestly, it's on your financial dashboard every month.
It is.
So
You are
it-
correct. I was just testing you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know. But no, I will bring printouts tomorrow for all the separate fund balances, and I
Okay.
just totally spaced today and did.
And again, this is something that goes back like 5 or 8 years
Yeah.
ago, where
Yeah.
we were concerned how much fund balance we were using, and concerned we were going to, deplete it to a point. where-
I can say off the top of my head, we're in good shape with all the funds
Okay.
right now, and it's primarily because the market's done well for the endowments, with regards to this fund anyway.
Okay. Yes,
I
go
will add to that, as the liaison, I do go to most of the Board of Trustees meeting, and, they have very thorough reviews of their investment. They had one recently, and that I sat in on too, so it was very informative, and so far, so good, yeah, with it, yeah.
Yeah, which is why I believe the library board opted to use the endowments to do the build-out for the teen area,
yeah,
which, is not coming from the town contribution. It'll come from the endowments because they're doing well.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? If not, does anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilwoman Tompkins.
Motion
go
to
ahead.
approve Department 520 in the amount of $858,648.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. I don't, Jennifer, you're welcome to stay, and if you have other and more important things to do, we understand, but thank you for being here tonight, and good luck. All right, next on our, we're moving to John Bossy. And I found out from John, this is his, 35th year?
Oh,
Not that we're counting, but. All right, and we're in section 5, page 10. So zoning board appeal, I'll probably just go through this one real quick. I don't know, not much to say.
0. That's it.
So
Yes.
this department was funded solely for the recording secretary that we have moved out of the individual budgets
Correct.
into one general line item, so we don't really even need this budget.
Like, is this something maybe next year this page isn't even in here?
That is correct. The only reason it's there is because there's still an actual expended amount in 24 in the first
Okay.
column with a
Yep, yep.
requirement for the budget book.
Okay,
Do we need to make a motion?
I would make a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for, zoning board of appeals, section 112, Department 112, in the amount of 0.
Second.
Motion and a second. I'm just going to ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move now to Technical Services Administration. That's in section 7, page 20. All right, and it looks like pretty much salary increase is the reason for the increase in the total budget. Anything outside of that that we need to know?
No, there's a change in personnel down in the office, so the newer person was hired at a lower salary than the
Okay,
person that left, which is why it's lower than 3%.
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to approve Department 325 in the amount of $197,600.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I believe we're just turning the page to engineering. Anything, I know this, we still don't have a full-time,
No, we
Yeah,
do.
we
oh,
got.
we do
yeah,
now.
yeah,
That's
Ryan-
right. That's one that
Ryan-
got
Ryan
filled.
came on board, and it reflects the market and where we brought him on board, and an adjustment for him as a new hire, plus the 3%. So
Okay.
that's what that top line personnel is. Working out well. I think he's got great, potential, and
Okay.
is doing some good work for us.
Good. Any questions, comments? Anything, John, you want to add?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Very good.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve Department 330 and the amount of 97,100.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I think if we go one or two more pages, building inspection.
Yep, item 360, the top line personnel is to reflect the new position in the building official to supplement and help and assist Chris, who is just above water on doing what he was doing. And also, well, that's pretty much it, because the contractual line item dropped, so it's really just the top line where that full-time position hits for July 1st.
Did you say this is Foster's job? This is,
No,
Oh.
no. This is all new for building department. There's only been one Chris DeTola who's been there. John has come in terms of just keeping us above water. We were really kind of falling underwater with that. We tried the regional approach, couldn't make that work. Tried with other communities. Tried with the Council of Governments. Couldn't get a resource sharing agreement. So bit the bullet to move forward with that. It comes with a wealth of knowledge. It was a lateral transfer and experience coming out of Wallingford. So we anticipate that we'll get caught up on where we have kind of lagged behind in terms of shrinking the response time for permits and inspections, whereas, again, a lot of other towns are in the same boat that just keep pushing it out from 2 to 3 weeks to now, for hearing in some cases 5 to 6 weeks or longer. What we have in the pipeline coming is with the school, White Oak, and also the research. It's only, going to get more involved,
Yep.
More permits coming through.
All right, yes, go ahead.
What's the official title of that position now?
Well, I think we're going to list it
Assistant
as
building
assistant, short-term ABO, assistant building official.
Assistant
versus,
building, yeah.
Chris
Chris is the building official,
building
and this is
official.
the assistant building
Yep.
official.
Historically, we've gone back and forth between 1 and 2 it's building inspectors.
Okay.
For a long time, when, in the beginning part of my career, was mostly two building people. When Foster came on board, it went down to 1. In between that time frame, there was like 1.5 usually. The activity level in town necessitates the need for 2 people in order to meet timely inspections and timely reviews on the plans. It also assists in the sense that we can do more thorough inspections rather than cursory inspections
Yep.
and the like.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was, well worth it. Just in the time I've been on the council, we tried, like the town manager said, various options to try to come up with alternative means of covering the needs, and none of them really worked out perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Chris's truck here every Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments or questions? Does anyone care to?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. go
motion
ahead.
to approve Department 360 for $226,500.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Are we covered?
Or do you want, is it,
Not tonight. Yeah, and capital projects is not going to be on until Wednesday night.
I mean, do we want to talk about his capital tonight? I don't want to,
If you're okay with that? mean,
I don't
we
know,
could- We could just get some additional information, if you had any questions for John while he's here, and,
The
And
number one
capital
question
is-
Whiting Street.
well,
Well, I do have an update on why.
Do you really?
yeah, why don't you
And
go ahead with
lighting.
your update while I tell everybody
and,
what page we're
Broad
on.
Street, two positive,
We are going to resume construction activities on Whiting Street beginning next Monday. Both my contractor and the water company's contractor, the water contractor is going to start on Tuesday. The asphalt plant's open, knock on wood, next Monday. And so we will be able to do the restoration work and related to the water construction of last year. And we'll start our drainage work. We have to finish the drainage work. We're gonna work our way from Fairview Avenue up to Newton Avenue. And then once we've complete the drainage work, there's some incidental work that needs to be done. And then shortly thereafter, we'll mill the road for the section that's in between the 2 sections that were done last fall and pave the streets. The expectation is that we will have everything done by Memorial Day.
Nice,
That's awesome.
nice.
That would be nice.
That's Broad Street too?
yeah.
That's included, Broad Street's included in that work.
We met with Eversource today to review that and to press them the fact that we need this done before Memorial Day. So they have now made it a priority, and will, and get that done ahead of the parade. But I think they'll also, while they have the crew, at least the way I heard it, that the crew was going to be in there in that area. Remember the work they did up by Hemingway, and they opened up everything up there, that they would try and get that addressed as well.
Okay.
And then, of course, I think they're going to wrap around and do the Willis and,
Yeah, there's there's work that they did on all those side streets that lead into Broad Street.
Yeah.
Last summer and fall. That'll all be sewn up and repaved, probably before July 4th.
Nice. Nice.
All right, so just, I'm on section 12, page 1. It looks like there's 4 things the manager's recommending for the technical services area. You know, is there anything you want to share, John, tonight, about any of the 4
I
things?
haven't seen the ones that he.
All right, so we have the MS4 annual compliance.
That's related to the landfill and all our other drainage work.
Okay.
I mean, we're, as part of both EPA and DEEP's responsibilities, we have to monitor stormwater, and also we have to spend some time monitoring the landfill. Now, landfill's closed, but we still have runoff off the landfill. We need to ensure that it's not been tainted in any fashion. And as being an urban center, Plainville is considered an urban community. We are required to test our stormwater for a variety of parameters and also meet some other guidelines that are necessary to make sure that the water quality of stormwater is adequate.
Okay, and technically, have we gotten the okay, like the landfill is closed, like, or the official paperwork from the state yet, or we're still waiting for that?
still waiting.
We're still waiting. We got some comments back. At least the initial comments were pretty minor.
Yep,
Nothing related really to the actual work.
what we did there,
There were some documents they did, he needed some signatures on.
okay.
But that's only the first review. I can't guarantee you that they won't come back with a second set of comments, but it
Okay.
looks pretty promising.
All right. Pavement or painted pavement marking.
Hold on, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
You have a question? Go ahead.
This
I'm
is
sorry.
annual compliance. Is this something we're gonna have to do every year?
Yeah.
And does it belong in capital?
Well, there's substantial costs related to it. I mean, it's,
Yeah. I'm just saying if it's something we're doing every year, then we could budget for it every year.
you could put it in operating costs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, historically, substantial purchases or services have always been wrapped into
Right.
capital budget.
Right. Okay.
And is the 25,000 that's being recommended, is that, we think every year it could be up to 25,000 we'll be spending to monitor and,
Well, under current pricing,
Yeah.
25,000 is about the price.
Okay.
Like everything else, nothing ever goes down.
yeah.
I mean,
But that's-
there's services that.
But this is something that every year we're gonna have to spend at least 25,000 going
Well, I
forward
mean,
on.
there might be years that you are ahead of the curve a little bit on monitoring, so you might be able to fall back on.
Okay.
But these are services that the town can't provide, even if they were to hire specialized
yep,
staff. I
yep.
mean, we're paying a testing lab to test for certain things. Right now, we're paying a consultant to do collection. I mean, many of the collections of these storm events don't occur during normal hours, so
Yep,
it would
yep.
be difficult for a staff member
Yep.
to go out and collect these.
Okay,
And then there's also some analysis that we're not necessarily up to date with in regards
Okay.
to current standards and those kinds of things.
all right. Anybody with a question or a comment? Otherwise, we can now move to painted pavement marking. I mean, that's pretty
That's a
self-explanatory.
yearly type of, here's another yearly thing. It used to be part of the operating budget, and then we kind of fell behind. And it's been reorganized, and rather, in the past, it's come out of the police department.
Oh.
In the past, and now it's moved back into a public works function.
Okay.
I can tell you, it was in the police department function because it occurs at night. And here again, somebody needs to keep track of them. We've figured out a way to avoid having somebody monitoring them, so. But it includes center line, stop bars, crosswalks. We're trying to get a system where, we do a certain percentage of all the pavement markings in a given year. Last year, we did some center line. We're gonna finish up the center line this year and move on to crosswalks. In the future, we'll end up doing stop bars. It also, when we do a paving job, and there's some pavement markings that are associated with a paving job, if the town does the paving job, we use these funds to repaint the roads.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments? Looks like the next one, we have roadway sign replacement and traffic calming,
Um,
20,
we have-
recommended
we have
10,000.
signs in town that guide pedestrians,
Yeah.
motorists. They need to be replaced on a periodic basis. We add new signs sometimes. Traffic calming in the past was something that we ventured into. If you recall, we did some speed humps.
Yep.
We did some extra paint marks on the streets also. That was part of street calming. We haven't had either demand necessarily for street calming as we have in the past, but if there was a demand and you saw fit to do something, whatever it may be, this is what it would come out of, the
Okay.
amount that it would come out of.
All right, any questions regarding sign replacement? Sidewalk repair and replacement,
That's an ongoing issue. I mean, you all know that some of the sidewalks not in that
Yes.
great of shape. We haven't been as aggressive as we were several years back, but, you know, people do call my office and other offices regarding sidewalk that's in disrepair.
and are we still working off you remember when we had the company come in and
Yeah.
literally,
We still have the base of that. There was some, from my perspective, there was some underestimating and overestimating of the conditions. But, I mean, it generally told us where the
at least where to start
where the
looking?
bad stuff
Yeah.
was, the bad sidewalk was. You know, depending on how generous you are in regards to funding, it would depend whether we do a project or we're just gonna do hit or miss
Yeah.
complaints. I mean, if you're open to providing a more generous.
Like, there's always
generous-
sidewalks that can get
I can
replaced, I
spend whatever
imagine,
money
right?
you give me.
Yeah, you'll
okay?
find somewhere to,
And I won't, and no one will say that, that shouldn't have been done.
okay, all right. And it just, before we let John go, is there, over the course of the next couple months, can we get an update on the sidewalk, how that's going? I mean, I don't even know how many years ago, was it 5 years ago, we had the company come in and assess
3, wasn't
the
it?
sidewalks?
We did it,
I don't even remember how long
Say
ago,
4.
we did it during, the first part of COVID.
COVID, so 2019.
Because we started the
2020.
project, then COVID came,
Or
hindered
2020,
the
that's right.
project, and then we didn't get final results and towards the end of the year that, before we got the vaccine.
Okay,
So, I mean, I don't know, is that 20? I think that's
2020,
20.
20, yeah.
We did a lot of sidewalk with the ARPA money. I think you allocated as
Yeah,
a group
yes.
about $600,000 worth of sidewalk, and we did that.
okay.
Since then, we didn't do anything since then, really.
Okay. And just maybe just, an update on, showing the map and, highlighting where we've been to. I know like Maxine was a concern and,
Yeah, we did Maxine.
yep, and,
But there are there's other sidewalk in that neighborhood, in those neighborhoods that need it. And there's a couple other smaller sections throughout town that was definitely, the study said that was in the greatest need.
okay,
And then there's ones that are more sporadic that if you
yep,
could do, but it's not imperative that you do it.
okay. Well, just something, as we move through the spring, maybe just to get an update of where we are or what we've done since 2020 would help me. Any questions or comments? That's the last item under technical services for capital. Well, I guess, look at it, we're kind of on time still. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
And we'll be moving, next is recreation. Enjoy the rest of your evening. What time's your next meeting? 7:30. All right. So we'll move to recreation, which is in, looks like section 9, page 4.
I think I saw Courtney in the hall.
And Courtney's here. Hi, Courtney.
Section,
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Good. So we got a couple, we have the actual recreation department, and then we do have a recreation special fund we'll be talking about, but first we'll go to the recreation department. I don't know if you guys want to share anything, highlight anything in the budget
Yeah, sure.
request.
Yeah, Courtney and I can go through it. Rob, the full-time salary is not as large because of the replacement, one member at a higher rate, bringing in a new member at a lower rate. So that's why it's not a true 3%, as it is for most others across the board in the full-time salary up there. Most notably in this budget, it's only a 3.92% increase as requested or manager requested. That the major, two items really, nothing major, but two items that driving that is the operating supplies, 330 for $2,700, which is to fund the water fountain at Paderewski Park. So that's that item. And then it is agency subsidy for park on the 465 line item from 4,000 to 7,500. So $3,500 increase there.
Okay.
And that is basically an outside agency, obviously, that, is, we go to as an agency to accommodate for programs that the rec department just doesn't have the ability to do.
Okay.
So that's been ongoing for,
30 years.
30-plus years. The rate hasn't changed in 30.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, the request to help and assist with them, I think, is long overdue, so I made an adjustment there.
Okay.
It's-
All right, yes, go
And
ahead.
that's the summer program
That's for Park. when we
Park,
do Camp
PARC,
Trumbull.
yeah,
Yes,
PARC.
for Camp Trumbull.
for Camp Trumbull.
Yes.
Other than that, that's those three increases, and
All right.
300 in professional development, that's it.
All right. Any comments or questions from anyone?
nope. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like
go
to make a
ahead.
motion to adopt Department 510 budget of $217,550.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have the special fund, which is in section 12, page 10. And this is also in the financial dashboard that we do every month, right?
Yeah, in this area, I'm going to really let Courtney speak to it because it's tied to some legislation issues that she's been monitoring and her association has been following with respect to state bills and the increases for, or requests for paras, but also the state bill regarding APRN coverage. So we've kind of dedicated some
Okay.
additional funds for that, and I'll turn it
All
over to
right.
Courtney.
Yeah, so there's some new legislation that's possibly coming out. It did just leave the Committee on Children last Thursday. It passed, so it's going to the House of Representatives next. Essentially, municipalities are exempt from being a state licensed camp, and they're looking at possibly making us get state license. One of the big expenses is to have an APRN on call, which obviously won't be super cheap. They wouldn't need to be on site all day or anything like that, which is like the one saving grace. But so if that doesn't pass, I wouldn't need the $5,000 that's for the APRN. And I've been keeping Andy and Mike involved to let them know what's going on with that legislation and everything
And that's $5,000
for the APRN.
for the, okay. All right.
And that's just for the summer camp?
It would be for like both of our summer camps.
For the-
There's some other like costs that are involved, but that's like really the big one. The rest would be able to fit within my existing budget already, but that's like the big expense.
Okay.
And I imagine the part-time increase is due to the minimum wage? Is it tied?
Oh, I'm so
Go,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I've actually requested that we get 2 paras for our summer camp.
Okay.
Over the last couple years, we have seen a large increase in people, children with special needs and behavioral disorders. Most of our staff are, 16 to 18
Yes.
years old. That's kind of hard to train a 16 to 18-year-old to deal with that and then have to deal with 10 other kids at the same time. So I think having a para would not only make our camp safer, but make it a more valuable experience for everybody involved.
And the 2, would that primarily be for the Norton program, or I don't,
Yeah, so
Is that
we have
the summer?
we have one camp over at Norton and one
Right.
camp over at Paderewski.
Yep.
So we'd have one at Norton and one at
One at- okay.
Paderewski.
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Motion to fund Department 515 in the amount of $321,580.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Courtney.
Thank you guys and have a nice night.
You too.
You too.
Two.
All right, and now we have economic development and town planning. And right on cue, Cal enters the room.
Yeah, I apologize
Perfect.
for the speakers. I did a beautiful walk in between the end of the day. The park was looking lovely, so good job, Courtney.
Yes. All right, so we'll move to, looks like section 5, page 65. Economic development.
Yeah, it's just the salary increase. That's what's reflected there. That's it. Everything else, same.
Okay. Any questions, anything, Cal, you need to add? Other than-
No, just there's some exciting things happening in Plainville. Worked last week and this week with Senator Martin's office on submitting some public testimony for both the expansion of the bioscience enterprise zone up on the mountain around the Tomaso Center.
Yep.
And then also we're working towards the creation of an airport zone around Robertson, take advantage of some of the activity we've seen around there lately. And I know everybody's asking about White Oak, and I promise we're still working on it.
No, it's moving, right?
Yeah, it is.
Slowly, but-
It is moving. We're continuing forward. So the Manafort team just submitted a revised conceptual plan that they are comfortable with, and it sounds like that's what they'll be presenting to planning and zoning here in the upcoming months. So we'll just do some groundwork with the state, make sure all our boxes are checked, and hopefully we'll see some shovels in the ground before winter.
That would be nice. And just, and I forgot to follow up with the town manager. I think last year, about a year ago, you gave us a list of what's going on in town as far as some of the properties, and was there some potential, whether it's development or potential
Sales or whatever.
businesses moving in.
Okay.
I don't know if you can find it and just update it for us. It was nice when people show up and say, hey, what's going in, here, what's going in there, and
Yeah.
if it's something that can be shared, it was nice to have that information since it's been a year. I think it's been a year. Was
It's
it
been a
last
year.
spring?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll take a look. I don't remember the document off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
put something together for you.
Yeah, I can find it, but yeah, if you need information from us, let us know. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Any
Work with
comments or
Andy.
questions?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve Department 170 in the amount of $94,800.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looks like we're going section 5, page 7 to look at Planning and Zoning Commission. Have a good one. Thank you. You too. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to fund Department 111 in the amount of $600.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We can now move to Inland Wetlands Commission, which is on page 13 of the same section.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to fund Department 113 in the amount of $400.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then turn a few pages up to page 19 for the Conservation Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion to fund Department 116 in the amount of $1,400.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Just real quick, obviously it looks like supplies. It's just because they haven't been using it,
Yeah.
essentially. I mean, I know it's.
Yeah, they'll keep the minimum for their, basically for their river cleanup.
Okay.
But yeah, Mark had indicated that it was something they could reduce.
Okay.
If
All
I
right.
can provide just an additional detail
Yeah.
there. That increase for $1,600 was for the additional signage at Paderewski Park,
Okay,
which
that's
has
right.
already been
That's right.
produced, and
Okay.
roadways will install it in April. So
Okay, so
the decrease just reflects that project being completed and the funding no longer
We won't need it
being
again.
required for next
All
fiscal
right.
Right, yeah, that.
Thank
yeah, I
you.
was just checking that, yeah.
And
All
those
right.
signs, when they go up, I want to give kudos to Andy, who did a great job
He
in
did.
modifying the layout.
Oh, good.
They are excellent signs.
Good.
I'll sign them too, once they go
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Take a Sharpie and I'll.
But it's,
That'll increase the value.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
yeah, those are the signs that are really intended to, better protect the wildlife
Yep.
and some of the other natural resources. that-
All right. Unless there's another comment or question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we're going to move to page 69 in section 5 for town planning or the planning department.
Yeah, that is down 0.49%. It's just the top line of personnel, 3% increase. Other contractual decreases there, and yeah, there's not a whole lot there except for, professional development and training we're holding for Jacob, who's the, in terms of the technician. So,
Yep.
that's pretty much it.
The decrease in other contractual was the GIS we did this
Okay.
year. So again, it was an increased cost for this year, only one-time kind of
Okay.
updates and the mapping updates that we don't need next year.
We have someone taking over for Mark.
Yes.
This
thank
is his
you.
last week, right?
Yes, thank you. Mark's departure this week, we have an individual coming in on the 24th. We'll be starting the 24th. Mark has graciously agreed to help in the transition, and will be coming back to do a few hours, up to maybe 15 for the first 2 weeks, to help and assist in transition, and then as an on-call as-needed basis from that point going forward. I think we've got a great candidate who is coming from Brantford, and with previous knowledge, started his career in New York, came to Brantford, and now to Plainville. So we're lucky
Excellent.
to, again,
Yeah,
knock
no,
on
knock on
that
wood.
the candidate pool has been good, given the various turnover that we've had.
Good. All right. Any other questions, comments? Anyone want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to fund Department 180 in the amount of $175,616.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and that closes out Mark and Cal's departments.
For what?
We can move now to the finance director.
Yeah,
Oh, you're probably looking for a different meeting?
Are you looking for the town council budget meetings or?
Zoning.
I believe they're going to be in room 302.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. Nope.
Welcome to join us for
Yeah, no, this,
Really exciting.
They got really excited.
yeah, we're like,
Somebody wants to see us, really?
no, you came in, you have to sit down now.
yeah, I think there's.
Clearly,
Um,
we lost.
So here we go. We're gonna move now, we're gonna stay in section 5, page 16, and we're gonna talk about Board of Assessment Appeals.
This is the stipend we give the board members every year. Typically, it stays the same level every year unless it's a reval year. We bump it up for potential additional meetings, but fiscal year 26 will be a regular non-reval year, so no changes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Motion to approve Department 114 in the amount of $1,900.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We can jump to page 44 in the same section for town treasurer.
It's just the 3% increase stipend paid to the town treasurer.
All right,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Motion to approve Department 135 in the amount of $7,085.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Turn the page to the finance department.
All the increases here are really salaries, rated to 3%, but I also have one staff member who's on steps, so it's a little bit higher.
Okay. Any comments, any questions regarding the finance department?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to fund Department 136 in the amount of $358,930.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll turn to page 50. Assessment and revenue.
Very little change here overall, 1.57 increase. We've had some turnover in staff, which is why the salaries are a little bit lower than the 3% that we're doing across the board. New revenue collector, new office professional, both of which started lower than the previous individual sitting in those seats. We did bump up over time a little bit. The percentage looks high, but it's only $200. We just have, again, with new staff, it might be needed a little bit more. The maintenance contracts went up a little bit. Those are the costs for our tax system, our QDS tax and assessing system. It's just software cost increases that you'll see across the board in the budgets.
All right, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to fund Department 137 in the amount of $430,482.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. If we can jump to page 59 in that section, we're up to insurance.
So this is the highlight of the budget book, and you'll see a lot of red here. And that it simply has to do with timing. If you recall, last year at this time, we were unsure which insurance company, because we went out to bid, we were going to go with, so we were unsure what our premiums would be. We ended up going back to Kerma, who was lower than any other of the bids we had, and they've come in with pretty much a 3-year zero rate increase, of which fiscal year 26 will be year 1 or 2. I can't remember now. Now year 2. So our budget was artificially higher than it should have been this year. Therefore, I could lower it down to what it should be going forward for next year. So this budget is actually being reduced by $78,525. And you can see the individual detail of all our policies shown below. We have multiple policies, liability, auto, properties, cyber insurance, drone insurance, flood insurance. We no longer have the underground storage tank, so we don't need that policy anymore. We have bonds, endorsements. We'll be getting a builder's risk policy for the middle school, but that will not come out of this budget. That will be part of the school project, but we do have a lot of other policies outside of, the bigger ones, workers' comp and all that.
Okay. All right, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to fund Department 160 in the amount of $596,900. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry.
613, isn't it?
613,650.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Solid Waste Department or Management is next, Section 8, page 10.
This budget's an estimate at this point in time, as our garbage contract expires in September. You don't have anything, town manager can speak more to it, but right now I'm just estimating, estimating, let's put it that way. We do have, again, the details are below, the line items are below on the bottom of your page there. You can see our recycling fees have gone up a little bit, our tonnage costs for real world and BRO FOC. Our gas prices, gas and diesel are a little bit lower, so we're able to move things around a little bit there. But the biggest costs of this budget are, at this point in time, estimates, and if we get any more solid information during your deliberations, we'll obviously bring them forward to you.
And how long was this last contract?
8 years.
8 years. Wow.
Can I ask why don't they use diesel trucks? What's with the gas? Why is gas on part of the contract?
They use a little gas too.
They do?
It's gas and diesel, very little, but I mean, it's only $2,700.
Yeah.
I have the monthly reports. Off the top of my head, I don't know the gallons, but it's 10, 12, something.
I just,
All right.
Just a
Yes.
question, you said that we might have more up-to-date information. Are there discussions going on, or, is it could a bid process will be?
We are going to have to start that. Myself, Andy, will be reaching out to talk with the company, and we've got to look at exploring, likely be first a review, and then an internal discussion on because of the timing of the contract, the length of the contract, and I don't know that there's any extensions left on the contract, and we might have Morris's review of that. I mean, obviously, we don't want to, well, in a perfect world, you don't change horses mid-race, right, whatever the phrase is, and this is a known quantity, a great service. We'd like to go proceed, but at the same time, we want to make sure we're getting the best expenditure, best bang for the buck that we can get, so we may, look at a RFP process to go out and solicit proposals for that. But again, it's not likely we may not get, more than the one. We may get. So it's just one of those decisions we've got to do a little bit more research on. But it is coming fast, and probably likely something we'd start beginning this spring, for sure, real soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, does anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to approve line 415 for $1,344,600.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 10, page 5, talk about debt service.
We've held a lot of meetings on debt with regards to capital and are, trying to get back up to that magic number of 4.4 million. That was reduced a few years ago. We had initially wanted to get back up to the 4.4 million for this 26 budget. But delaying our bond offering now until June is going to help us push off the principal payment on that offering until fiscal year 27. So all we had to do was really budget an estimated interest-only payment for '26. Having said that, we still want to bump up this budget eventually back up to the $4.4 million magic number. But instead of going all the way up there this year, we're taking a step-ladder approach, and we're asking for an additional $100,000 to get closer to the 4.4, with the hopes that next year at this time we can get it back up to the full 4.4 million, which will help us ensure and smooth out the debt payments going forward when we start bonding for the middle school project and other projects.
And so the current budget, this would get us to within 50,000.
It would be, well, 150,000. So we were going to do a full 250 this year, but we only did 100. And so next year, you know, the hope again is
Yes, if I did my math
150.
correctly, yes, I
Yeah.
understand.
the big black number that says 100,000.
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yes, and it's only Monday, don't worry.
I know.
We'll get better.
It's all good.
All right, any comments, any questions?
So this just to
Yeah, finish.
summarize this still puts money back into our debt service fund. Okay, so again, this is, you know, we're not at a point yet, as we saw in some of our presentations, where we need to dive into the debt service fund. This will actually still put money back into the fund, again, for future use that's going to be needed as we start bonding for the bigger projects we have coming on board.
Okay.
Okay.
And just, you know, I've had conversations with the town manager. You know, as we get into the spring, we are going to probably talk about debt service again and talk about the capital. And, you know, it's probably the best way to describe it as a follow-up to our December meeting we had with the board, but, you know, probably use the latest numbers and just discuss and talk about, you know, why we can go out for the referendum in June and why that fits and how the middle school will fit after that. You know, so the good news is we don't think it's going to need to be a Saturday afternoon for 4 hours. We think it's something that would be during the week, is an hour and a half, something like that. So as we get probably past the budget process here, you know, that'll be something probably in April,
Yeah.
whatever date you decide to pick. We'll be following up with our capital and updating our numbers and making sure we're all on the same page. All right. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to fund Department 710 in the amount of $4,280,350.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Turn the page to page 8. We'll talk about employee benefits.
All right, so this budget also it was an estimate, but I do have good news, hot off the press. We did get obviously this one has the biggest components of this budget are our retirement accounts, both our 401ks, our 401a accounts, and our defined benefit for our police officers. Those are solid numbers you see on the first two line items there. We're up a little bit, but not too bad. The big increase was the health insurance, where we were targeting 11.5% increase. However, information as of today confirms the rate to be 9.9% increase. Still high, but what that does for this budget, as you see in front of you, is I'm requesting you reduce it in total by $51,700, coming to a bottom line number of $5,290,345.
Say that again?
$5,290,345. And again, that's a $51,700 decrease in the medical premium line items, reducing the increase from 11.5% to 9.9%. The Board of Ed budget, when we get to it, I'm not sure when it's on the schedule, this week or next week.
Thursday.
Yeah. Their budget is about 10%, so they're right where,
Okay.
you know, I don't think we're not going to need to adjust their budget with regards to this line.
All right.
Based on this latest information we got today, and it is confirmed. I do have a meeting with the state on this within the next couple weeks, but they've already issued the numbers and rates
Okay.
for every different individual plan, so it is set in stone.
Repeat those numbers again.
$5,290,345.
And the 187,000 is now
That'll now be 130,
136,
yeah, whatever. I didn't add that up.
136 something, 135 something.
Yeah, it's,
135.4.
Yeah.
And there's other pieces within that line item. It's not only our active employees' health insurance, it's our retirees, the stipends we pay. It is the money we get. That's a net number. We get reimbursements from both employees active through payroll deductions. We also get payments from retirees at varying rates, depending on coverages that they may have. So I have a big spreadsheet that's very convoluted. I will not throw up on the screen because you won't be able to read it. But all these numbers make up this one dollar amount.
Okay.
all right. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Motion to fund Department 820 in the amount of $5,290,345.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that concludes the finance director section. We can move now to the town manager section. And we'll handle the town council. Section 5, page 4.
Yep, 5.55% increase, the 101 for the town council. Includes a bump in the other contractual of 5,000.
And do we know, and should have read the commentary first, but I missed that.
I believe the
That-
reason for this increase is for our annual audit, and we
Okay.
presume there's going to be an increase to it. So
Okay.
building that here into our budget.
All right, any other comments, questions? Does anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion to fund Department 101 in the amount of $95,046.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move to Veterans Council, which is on page 22 in the same section.
That is simply the 3% increase in terms of stipend.
All right,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve Department 119 in the amount of $6,290.
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next page is the Recycling Committee.
Yes, item 121, no increase, it's the same.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Motion to approve Department 121 in the amount of $500.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Again, turn the page to probate court.
Yep, just a small $250 increase there, represents 2.63%, other contractual.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
make a motion to fund Department 130 in the amount of $9,750.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And again, just turn the page to the town manager's office.
Yep, page 31, 131, we have the top line increase. The majority of that is the movement of the full-time salary into our line item for the social media coordinator, but is 50% offset by the Board of Education. That is that full-time position we split, and this just reflects that we're carrying the full cost, but they're paying half of that.
Okay. Is there any comments, any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion to approve Department 131 for $449,435.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, human resources, which just turned the page again.
Yep, item 132, human resources. The increases in the top line personnel, it is the one full-time position I'm asking for with respect to a full-time HR manager position. This just one that, again, we're barely keeping our head above water
Yep.
with one person as head in there, but stretched with Board of Education and the town. There is a need to be able to get a better handle on the onboarding, benefits, and training, if you will, for all the new employees. And again, 2/3 of it is, I think, on the Board of Education side, 1/3 on our side. Maybe that's not fair, but it seems like we've been matching them in terms of, we're trying to keep pace with them, which I don't like, but it's just the nature of the beast, which
Yep.
you've seen and heard me say about the number of positions that we've had, and we've been fortunate enough, that we've had good candidates, and you typically don't see this kind of concentration, not just the officers that we've seen in terms of where the turnover has been in police department, but all the other offices that we've had and retirements that we're seeing and or people just moving on to different positions. So I just think it's at the point now where, like the analysis on the building department, we've got to really, we need more help. We need help, desperately need help on that side. So that's the one full-time position I'm asking for.
And is this a similar situation? Is the board picking up part of the cost of the new position, or
Well,
is this a town?
That's a question I'm
Is that something
proposing to
that's
have
being
with
worked
the
out?
superintendent, and just, I really haven't had a chance. I've talked briefly, broached the
Yep.
subject with him, gave him a heads up that this is what I'd be looking for. I also have some other conversations about, around this whole, the cost sharing of how Plainville does, finance, does
Yes.
HR, does IT, now it's social media. And obviously, on the police side, when we don't talk about it a lot, is the two SRO, and youth services for that matter. There are a lot of different positions that are absorbed here in our
Yep,
side.
yep.
And so those are ongoing future conversations
Okay.
that we need to have, but
So part of a bigger discussion.
part of a bigger discussion, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
In terms of, it's an HR manager would be the title of the job, would it be like an assistant HR
Yes,
person, the somewhat, managerial versus clerical
correct, right.
responsibilities?
Management, non-union, right, in a secondary or number 2 position.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any other comments or questions?
What was so you said managerial non-union. What is the benefit of that? Is that keep them
Well,
out of it?
there's a confidential nature, that we have with respect to personnel matters, especially when we get into contract negotiations, which was
Oh.
what we're doing now.
Right.
Both on the Board of Ed side and our side.
Okay.
We have an AFSME merger happening on our side that will bring together the clerical and the public works folks into one union, which is going to be challenging, to say the least. So that's what we're up against this season. We're beginning that process already.
Okay.
There's also
Yes.
clerical positions within the department that need managing. Therefore, this position would be managing employees. You can't have another union position manage other union positions,
Right.
or employees, rather.
Okay.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve Department 133 in the amount of $253,425.
132.
I'm sorry, say again?
132. She said 133. Department.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Should I
Good
redo
thing
it?
somebody's paying attention.
Second
know.
that.
Clearly, it wasn't you.
Second that
You
motion.
set me up, didn't you?
He seconded it. Go.
We're all set. Everyone's clear what department. This is Department 132. Grandma's not gonna like
I
it that you're
know.
talking to me like that.
I know.
All right, any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, again, turn the page to elections, Department 133.
Yeah, it's the top line for part-time salaries. And obviously, I think election laws changes early voting, whole bunch of requirements going on there. In total, a $13,900 increase, but it's all in the top line personnel.
Do we, and if you have to get back to me, that's fine, but do we have a cost for what early voting, or what was for early voting, what did it cost the town?
I
And
don't have that
again, you could get back to me, I'm just curious, I know, we all had, again, the state,
Yeah, but we had to pull information together for the grants that will not happen in 26, but did
Yes.
happen in 25 and 24 to varying degrees. We did have to pull information together. It varied based on which
I know we had a
or
couple-
election we
yeah,
had.
yeah.
There was a couple different ones we
Yep.
had. And these numbers you see here are, they're still evolving. I mean, we don't, they keep changing things on it. So, I
Yep.
mean, Cindy can speak better to it, but it's a number that, we need to have in there in case there's other, elections and things that, I think they're reducing the number of days that you have to be there, but it's really, we have either 2, 4, or 6 employees on a full week or 2 week stretch, depending on which election timing and all that. It's expensive.
They've already given you the reduction in days. Do you know what it is now?
They haven't determined it. For the April primary, it was 4 days. For the August, it was 7, and for the actual election, they were here for 14 days.
Right, right.
Saturdays and Sundays were mandatory, and 2 days of 8 to 8 were mandatory. So they're looking at tweaking that because it's very, very cumbersome, and it is very time consuming. And then everything on that Sunday prior to the actual election event has to be tied up. The reports, the counting, the tallying has to be handed over to the town clerk so we can get everything over to them for the actual election event. It's a lot, so it's, and they're exhausted.
Yeah.
They are looking to maybe like streamline it to the same date and time frames, like maybe 7 days for each event or 5 days. I don't know
Okay.
what
Okay.
they're proposing yet.
Right.
But
Okay. No, I didn't know if they'd come down with the changes yet.
no.
No, okay.
No, because no excuse absentee voting will be
Right.
rolling out this year. So we don't know how that's going to impact anything
Right.
as well.
And do we know, where are we with the state, with the minimum wage increase? Are we, I don't know, if you have to get back, that's fine. I know it was a multi-year process to raise it.
January 1st of 26, it'll go up again. Well, assuming it'll go up,
Yep.
yes.
But that's-
So we've, again, of all of our budgets that you see in front of you, we have estimated an increase, but it's not a set number. It's not like, hey, 3%, 4%. It's
Yeah.
based on, CPI or something.
Okay,
And, we're assuming a percentage it'll go up, but
okay.
we'll
All
be
right.
close.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, they do voter registration at the high school, 17 and 18-year-olds. When does that happen?
Registrar's question. That's a registrar's. I apologize, but I don't know.
Okay. That's
It's-
okay.
It's mandatory though.
Yeah, it is a
mandatory.
yeah.
That's per statute. That's a requirement.
I know.
Okay.
Just wondering when.
And generally, you have to have one Republican and one Democrat representative every time.
Right. Right.
All right,
Mr. Chair.
yes.
Motion to approve Department 133 in the amount of $111,370.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next page, town attorney and legal advice.
Yes, the only increase there is the $10,000 in the contractual labor, which indicates our gearing up for the union contracts.
And how many different union contracts?
Actually, we just do.
Just the
it
one?
Would be 2, but because they've decided to merge, but we're
It'll be
still,
one,
it's gonna
okay.
be, It's gonna be complicated.
No, I imagine
Long.
just getting that language and the
Yeah,
combining two different contracts into one must take
Absolutely.
some effort.
yeah.
Okay.
We have 3 unions in total, so both our town hall and public works unions, those are the ones looking to merge this
Okay.
year. And then next year, around this time, we have our police union up for renegotiation.
Okay. All right. So any questions regarding the town attorney
No.
department?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go
make a
ahead.
motion to approve Department 134, Fund Department 134, in the amount of $159,750.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We can move up to page 53 for the town clerk's department.
Yeah, the top line, 3% on the personnel salaries. And then there's a few changes with operating supplies. And that's about it. Maintenance contract, but that's a swap out with the other contractual. You notice a decrease of 1,800 and picked up 1,800 on maintenance contracts. And Cindy wants to add any other comment to that?
Basically, our state mandated program supplies have all increased. Archival paper, our books, the dog tags that we're required to purchase, everything that we are required by statute has gone up in price. There's everything that I have to buy for my department has gone up. What used to be a $50 book is now $175.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's most of it.
All right, any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Motion to fund Department 150 in the amount of $234,900.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and again, turn the page to information technology.
Yep, that's 155. It's up overall 11.74%, all in the other services and charges for the other contractual and the big one, maintenance contracts. So the $1,680 increase for admin's financial software is an increase there. And then the big one is the Microsoft suite or Microsoft products, but also cameras, copiers, virus protection, firewall, kind of soup to nuts within what we have to deal with in terms of maintenance contracts or ongoing IT structure.
And these are just we have these contracts and they're just going up this year, essentially.
Yeah, everything's up like a good 5 to 10%. It's just, I mean, the other contractual is up 5.89. That's just one contract. So the other contracts and the maintenance contracts, they're, again, they're all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, and
It adds up.
it's everything. It's hard to keep up with.
Okay.
And this-
Go ahead.
Just, I mean, this is sort of stating the obvious, but the personnel part of IT still resides in the Board of Ed
Right.
budget.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Kevin Ross, and I forgot, should know his exact title, and I forgot. And it's at how many technicians? Do you know?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, several.
I know they've got a pretty robust.
4 or 5.
It's 4 or 5.
Just think it's,
4 or 5.
worth mentioning it for public consumption, if
Oh,
nothing else. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they do a great job. I mean, again.
Yeah, it
they're-
works, yeah.
I'm sure would love to have more additional help there flat out as well. And you can imagine the phishing and the cyber attacks and things that are nonstop. So the maintenance of the firewall, virus protection, all of that on a daily basis. So monitored 24/7. So they do a great job.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
make a motion to fund Department 155 in the amount of $206,280.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hold on, wait.
Yes, here.
There's a deal on something. Hold on a second. We can,
Siri wants to make a motion.
you know,
Wow.
That was great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, yeah.
We'll skip to page 62 in this section for general administrative services.
Yeah, this one is down, $9,500, representing a 8.03% decrease.
All right, anybody with a question or a comment?
I'll just add one comment. The
Yes.
reason for the part-time salary reduction, that was for salary that we had for Sarah, when she was a part-time
Part-time.
social media
Okay.
specialist. Now that we've brought her on as full-time, there's a reduction here because there's no longer need for that part-time
Okay.
salary.
All right,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Make a motion to fund Department 165 in the amount of $108,820.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, we can move out of section 5 and move to section 6, emergency management, which is on page 18. Looks like
No,
it's the last
yeah.
page in that section.
No change, same stipend, part-time salary there for the emergency management director, no change, 18,000.
All right, any comments, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to approve Department 215 in the amount of $18,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go to section 7, page 29. We'll talk about the fire marshal's department.
Yep, 370 fire marshal, a $6,230 request representing 6.08% increase. And essentially that's the 3% in part-time, but also the extra hours, 25 hours extra for the inspectors. There are 2 inspectors that have been working quite well. I think the fire marshal's office has done an outstanding job in terms of getting to more business owners through a program that he brought on board a year ago. I think it was a year ago, maybe a little longer than a year ago. That's fully implemented now, and they're able to catch up with respect to the amount of inspections that heretofore have kind of lagged. Again, it's much like analogous to the building inspector and getting permits and reducing time. This is on an annual basis where they'll get to see business owners and make those inspections so that a lot more safety code and issues that are being addressed in a timely fashion. So would like to continue with that, and so that's what the slight increase there is for the extra time for the part-time inspectors.
All right, and anybody with a question or a comment?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Make a motion to fund Department 370 in the amount of $108,780.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 8, page 4. We're up to health and sanitation.
Right, that's our health department with our 3 towns involved. There's some increases there year over year, doing the best they can, I think, with the director looking at supplemental funding in terms of state and federal funding. So unfortunately, that is on a per capita basis, increases that we're looking at. Gone from 670 up to 820. So I'm trying to do the best we can in terms of a multi-phased, multi-year increase rather than all in one year.
Okay.
The department has done some research and obviously looked at other health departments across the state, and still one of the lowest per capita, or actually, I wouldn't say one of the lowest. I think probably middle of the road, but not the highest.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to try and put a cap or try to slow that growth down a little bit. But I understand there's forces outside of our control with respect to health and things that are coming down from the feds and the state in terms of healthcare regulations that we have to deal with.
All right, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
motion to fund Department 410 in the amount of $140,130.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will just turn the page for other health and welfare services.
Yep, 412, excuse me, Health and Welfare Services, reduction, the 35 had moved from the outside agency subsidy. This is the 3,500 that went over to Park.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Is this something that could utilize for the rec department, for the camps, the contracted nursing? Could we expand that contract?
No, that's for the senior center,
Oh, okay.
the nursing program for the senior center.
All right.
Hey, good point. I think it's something, I mean, if and when it comes to that, maybe we can piggyback off that service maybe something to look at. I don't know
Yeah.
if it can be, but
Yeah.
obviously if we're gonna be in need of nursing, it might not, may fit, may not, but it's something to pursue. I like the economies of scale in terms, or if we're already, contracted with some agency that
Right.
instead of, one nurse or two nurses for senior students, we get a nurse for Park. It may or may not be something that they want to do, but we'll take a look at it.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously both ends of the spectrum. Seniors that they're dealing with, I'm not sure that they want to get into the summer camp business,
Right.
but we'll take a look at it. It might make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this contracted nurses line is one nurse.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not a company. It used to be ProHealth back
Oh,
in
okay,
the
so it's
day,
not
but
through an
it is
agency
one
or anything.
independent APR.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't pick on our.
I won't steal her.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments? Any other questions? Does anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion to approve Department 412 in the amount of $50,365.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. If we jump to page 18, we have social services.
Yes, part-time social services, that is just the top line salary 3% increase.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to fund Department 430 in the amount of $34,100.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next page for youth services.
Yes, 440, that is an $8,425 increase, this represents 7.07%, all in the top line for full-time salary and part-time salary. There's a full-time salary increase of 3%, but then there's a part-time salary for a position there that's going to be offset by some grant revenues. Is that correct?
DCF.
Yes, this position is needed for the youth services department, but it's part of the cannabis monies that we're, cannabis and opioid monies that we're getting. Cannabis money is the 3% increased sales tax that our retailers in town have to charge. So if somebody buys something, it's 9.35%, state gets 6.35, we get 3. So this individual, that would be an employee, we're going to pay 50% of that salary from that money.
Okay.
And I have to report to the state, and it works out well because we didn't really have anything specifically designated to use those funds for. This would help do that. The opioid money that comes in from the federal government as part of the lawsuit that was settled, years ago, that too would also be part of this fund that this will be taken from as well.
Yes, go ahead.
And that money is included in some of the totals that we have on the revenue side? Or-
No, it's a fund outside of the general fund. But what we budgeted 50% of the salary here not knowing exactly what we're getting in for cannabis because the retailer just opened in
Right,
the
right.
fall.
Yeah.
So I get paperwork every month indicating gross sales. We estimated for the year, we may hit it, we may not. So we figured that because this position is needed to help Sinea out with the schools, that let's put 50% in the general fund, 50% in the grant fund. If the grant revenue comes in higher than we estimate, then we could offload more into the grants and less in the general fund, or vice versa, if the grant money doesn't come
That's
through.
And we don't know that right now.
And we don't, because it just opened again in the fall. So right now, I only have 4 months' worth of known sales. They are going up every month. But again, I can't, I'm just picking a number at the end of the 12 months and see where we come in, and then we can adjust this accordingly.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
make a motion to fund Department 440 in the amount of $127,625.
Sec.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now, the last department under this section is unclassified. That's section 10, page 10.
Yep, 830 unclassified. An increase there, a portion of which is for the comp and class study, and I'd like to reserve comment in terms of detail for Wednesday. We have planned an executive session in terms of the presentation for that.
Okay.
And then I can go in and break down the details of those numbers.
All right.
Do we-
So for now, we'll hold off on this one until after Wednesday. We certainly have opportunities after Wednesday to take it up, which is fine. Is there any comments or questions regarding that? All right, then we'll have that one, we'll follow up with that later in the week. That actually concludes what we had on the agenda. Does anyone have any comments or questions? If no one does, we will see everyone at 6:30 tomorrow night. And a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. We will see everyone tomorrow night. Thank you.